The Eagles get a 22-10 win. They beat the Green Bay Packers. They move on to the divisional round. Rube, how you doing?
Doing great. It was an interesting game. It was a little shaky at times in some areas, but they got it done.
They got it done. And, during the season, we talk so much about the standard. Guess what? In the playoffs, you just got to win. You just got to advance.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, they got some things to figure out. Obviously, the offense was shaky for much of the game. But I mean, you beat an 11-win team by 12 points in a playoff game. It's hard to be disappointed about much.
Yeah, you're moving on, and that's all that really matters. This is the Eagle Eye Podcast presented by Nissan. He's Reuben Frank. I'm Dave Zangaro. Like we mentioned, 22-10. We are now waiting to figure out who the Eagles will host in the divisional round. As we're recording this, it's halftime in that Washington-Tampa Bay game. Basically, the situation is if Tampa Bay wins that game, the Bucs come here. If not, it's the winner of the Vikings and Rams on Monday night.
Yeah, and we'll see. I think, look, I don't know if there's a team out there that really scares me. Washington's playing well, but you just almost beat them with your backup quarterback. Tampa, this team seems to have problems with Tampa a few times. I still think the Eagles would win that game. I think they've put that behind them. They're a different team than they were in Week 4, certainly. We'll see what happens. I don't think there's a team out there. And I loved hearing some of the comments from some of the players who are like, we don't even know who's playing right now. We don't care. It's just whoever comes to our stadium, we'll go play them. And I like that mentality.
Yeah, I like that a lot. If I had a book that was going to be the way we opened the show today, just me calmly reading a book, I forgot to find one. So we didn't do that.
Yeah, we all had books.
I like a good bit. So
yeah, I know. We all had books on the post-game set.
Oh, did you?
Somebody handed us all books.
That's good.
Yeah, we'll get into that. But
we'll get into that at some point. From a big picture, yeah, it wasn't the cleanest of games. Certainly offensively, a lot left to be desired there. The passing offense kind of had some trouble getting going, but I mean, the defense just suffocated the Packers for much of that game. Special teams makes a big play right off the bat. They did enough.
Yeah, they did enough, and you're right. The defense was magnificent, I thought. And look, you're not going to totally shut down Josh Jacobs. I mean, he's a really good back, and some of those yards he got were just on his own, just being a really good player. He's very tough to tackle. He's physical. I thought they held him in check, other than the 31-yard run down to the 1-yard line. I thought they did a really good job on him. So. But you get 4 takeaways, three for the defense, 3 interceptions against a quarterback who hadn't thrown 1 in 7 games. First time the Eagles have had 3 picks in a playoff game since the Chicago Conference semi at Soldier Field in 2001, the Jim Miller game when Hugh Douglas knocked Jim Miller out of the game during Damon Moore's interception return. The defense and Nolan Smith sacking a quarterback who doesn't get sacked twice, almost had a third. I just thought the defense, they were physical, they were active, they tackled well for the most part. They probably all their missed tackles were on that one 31-yard run, had like 7 on the one play, but they just play so well together, and that's really the strength of this defense. And obviously, they missed Nakobe. We'll get into that a little bit. Nakobe left the game. It looks like he's done, sadly. But I just thought they covered really well. They tackled well. We talk about the Eagles' passing game, but I mean, Green Bay's passing game couldn't do anything. And this secondary is special, and they showed why they're the number 1 pass defense in the league.
Yeah, and look, the Packers did some good things in this game. They were 7 for 13 on third downs. They were able to move the chains a little bit. 302 total yards. They actually outgained the Eagles, but when it mattered, the Eagles either got takeaways or they forced field goals. The Packers did miss one relatively short field goal, but they got another one. And really, you're right, that 31-yard run from Jacobs was the worst play of the day. They also got decimated by injuries in this game, the Packers. It's a good thing they didn't win, because I don't know if they'd be able to field a team next week.
Yeah, it was I almost feel bad for, guys. You get hurt the last game of the season. You're now all of a sudden you're facing like maybe a surgery or rehab during the off season. But I don't feel that bad, but it's unfortunate. You don't want to see that. I never like seeing anybody get hurt. But yeah, they didn't really have anybody left in the passing
What
game.
if I was just a contrarian? It's like, I love seeing it. That's great.
Wouldn't surprise me. I'm sure there are people like that. But yeah, this defense is just they just cover so well. I guess. I mean, they pressure okay, but their coverage today I thought was tremendous, and they also had a fourth down stop in there. I think one, which was a big play late in the game. This defense is number one for a reason, and I thought this was one of their best games. I mean, they hadn't had 3 interceptions in a game. It's 50 games, which is a long time. They only had 2 interceptions in their last 9 playoff games. They had 3 today. So, I mean, you're talking about Cravon LeBlanc was their last postseason interception. Drew Brees, first play of the game in was that 2018? That the Alshon interception game. I love how they played, and Oren Burks will be the guy for Nakobe, and he's not Nakobe. He's certainly in coverage. He's not as good, but he's a physical guy. He's a good tackler. They're lucky they have him.
Okay, yeah. So let's talk about that since he brought it up. Nakobe Dean, saw him leaving the locker room on crutches with a big brace on that left knee. They ruled him out really quickly. We don't love to speculate, but it doesn't seem like good news. It seems certainly like Oren Burks is going to have to be the guy going forward. That's a big loss. I mean, Nakobe in this game especially was playing really well. He was violent to the football. Yeah. The play he got hurt on was a tackle for loss, his second tackle for loss on the day.
On Kraft.
Yeah, I thought that Oren Burks struggled a little bit in there. And look, he's the backup. So, but they have confidence in him. He's a veteran. He's going to have to play the rest of the way, but you do feel bad for Nakobe Dean, certainly. Nolan Smith, after the game, who's probably closer to Nakobe than anyone, just said his heart hurts for the guy. Like, these guys were roommates at Georgia, and he knows like all the work he's put into this. It's a shame, and they're going to miss him. And Zach Bond's going to have to be the green dot the rest of the way.
Yeah, that's another thing. Nakobe had come so far. We've talked about him a lot. Just a class act, a real leader. He's been so active. Zach Bond, the day he made the Pro Bowl, was talking, and like he's not really about awards, and he wasn't getting real fired up. But I asked him, like, could you see Nakobe making the Pro Bowl one day? And he just, like, his face lit up. He was like happy to talk about that, and he started talking about how, I could see Nakobe next year being this, getting this kind of award. He said, I thought he could have been a Pro Bowler this year. He just would make a big play in every game. In some games, he'd make 2 or 3 tackles for loss, hits on the quarterback, sacks, that incredible interception in the end zone. Yeah, they'll miss him a lot. And I mean, Oren Burks he's a really good special teamer. He's a physical player, but look, that's a big jump down, and it'll help if he'll get reps during the week, but it's a big loss.
It is now. The Eagles were kind of fortunate to come into this game with 22 of 22 starters, which is rare. They won't have that going forward, so they're going to miss him.
And he just feels so bad for him because, like his rookie year, he didn't play. And then last year he gets hurt. He's on IR after week 4, or he played 4 games and then got hurt again. And he finally gets this opportunity, makes the most of it, and has this really, really good year. And then this happens in the postseason. Man, you just feel so bad for him. And he's a great guy. He's one of my favorite guys to talk to in that locker room. Even not just interviews, but just go and BS with him. He's a super kid, and hopefully he comes back 100% next year.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but this late in the season, a serious injury, it can linger into the next year.
Yeah, you hope for a miracle. Maybe, who knows, but it doesn't look good.
Yeah. All right, let's get back to the actual play of the defense, though, because, they were good. Darius Slay got his first interception of the year. Quinyon Mitchell got the first interception of his career.
Yeah, and it's funny. I mean, the cornerbacks didn't have an interception all year in the regular season. They get 2 in the playoffs. And, I think we need to talk about my bold prediction was Slay getting interception. But I'm happy for Slay because
you picked a 6-time Pro Bowler to get an interception.
Yeah, I thought the
pretty bold of you.
The odds were with me. I mean, 21 straight games without one, and but he's played well this year, and I don't think people realize how consistent he's been because he hasn't had those takeaways. But it was good to see. It was a weird play because he didn't have He really didn't have great possession of the ball at first, but he secured it.
Looked like he was the intended target of that pass.
It did. Yeah. He threw some, I don't know how that guy, and look, I don't want to rip on him too much, but how did he go the last 7.5 games without interception? He's just putting it up for grabs. But anyway, it was good to see Q get one, and then
they missed their guard who got hurt.
They missed him big
because
time.
Then there was that pen. There was a revolving door.
Yeah.
At guard, and Milton Williams was eating all day. That was the cool thing. I asked Nolan Smith how he got 2 sacks. First thing he said was my DTs were playing great, and he said I owe Milton half of my game check. I don't think Milton's going to see half of his game check, but
so.
I mean, those guys up front were playing really well. Jalen Carter was beating some of the double teams. He was getting doubled all game, but he was beating some of them. I thought, and Nolan, gosh, what a game from him. How far has that guy come?
Yeah. 6.5 sacks after the bye. Now two tonight. Boy, he almost had a third. As well. And, we've talked about this. Like, one of my concerns, and I think you shared, is just who's going to get pressure on the quarterback. And look, Jordan Love's a guy that doesn't get sacked much. Was it 14 all year?
In 15 games.
In 15 games. So that's 1 a game. Thank you. But for Nolan to get 2 of them, and they were big plays, they just came at good times. And man, he's so much fun to watch, and he's so physical. You just don't see edges that size. What do you think he is? 235?
And it wasn't just the sacks. He had that great run stop.
That's what I just said. Yeah. He was physical against the run. And what I was saying was you don't really see that from edges his size, that physicality against the run. You can speak now.
Okay. Yeah. It was a great run stop because he was blocked and he didn't let it deter him. And he's always been a high effort guy, but now he has the skills to match with it. His first sack was an incredible inside move.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see him being a 12, 13 sack guy next year, full season.
It's such a big deal, especially because Bryce Huff has been a complete non-factor, the guy they paid all this money. So you needed someone to step into that role, especially without Brandon Graham.
Yeah.
I mean, where would this team be without Nolan Smith right now?
Yeah, he's been a godsend. And he's another one who really all those Georgia guys just improved so much from last year to this year. It's kind of interesting how that's worked. I mean, they've all played better, and Nakobe and Nolan played just significantly, but I think Jalen Carter's played significantly better as well.
Oh yeah.
But he was pretty good last year. Don't forget. I mean, he was good, but he's
been incredible.
He's improved a lot. Yeah, I think even Jordan Davis has improved. But yeah, Nolan has. You go from one inconsequential sack when he was unblocked to being a force in a playoff game against a quarterback who never gets sacked. That's big time.
Yeah, you look at the drive chart here after the initial fumble on the kickoff for the Packers. Punt, interception, missed field goal, interception, end to half. The Eagles pitched the first half shutout.
Yeah. I thought they might shut him out.
It kind of felt like that. And then, in the third, they end up getting a field goal, and then the touchdown, which was like that one long run. They got aided by that the pass interference call on third down.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
And Quinyon was upset about that, and I think he had a right to be.
It's borderline.
Yeah, it looked like the guy started to fall before.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it was catchable.
No, it wasn't.
It was way out of bounds.
Yeah.
So I think Quinyon did have a case to be mad about that one.
I think so too.
Especially when you look, not to do the ref thing, but the Dallas Goedert non-call in the DPI was pretty bad.
What was that?
Yeah.
I mean, how do you miss that?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So it all kind of comes out in the wash eventually.
Yeah.
But those two, when you look at them side to side, you're going, oh, that's not great. So on that one call.
I've never seen Dallas he doesn't really. He was pretty upset.
Yeah. Gosh, there were other defensive players to shout out. Milton Williams, once that backup guard was in there, because they had to slide protection to Jalen Carter, he was getting one-on-ones against a backup. He was killing him.
Yeah.
Even the plays he didn't make, he's getting held. He's getting penalties. Everything was Milton Williams came up big today.
Yeah, he's such a good player. He's so solid. He doesn't get a lot of recognition, but he's a huge piece of that rotation. No doubt.
The secondary played well.
Played great.
Yeah. Aside from the interception, Slay battled through an injury in this one.
Yeah.
Hurt his elbow, had to leave for a while, goes inside, comes back out. They put a compression sleeve on the elbow, put another sleeve on top of it. He comes back in. And I know that everyone's like kind of making the jokes when Rodgers comes in the game because it happens every single game. But Slay battles through whatever. And these are like legit injuries, but he battles through them and gets back on the field.
He always does. And he's missed significant times in something like 9 games. And I'll tell you what, Isaiah Rodgers is a good corner. Like he comes in and
yeah, it didn't end up mattering because there was a penalty. Right. It was man downfield, but they attacked Isaiah and he held up.
That was a nice play made in the end zone, I think it was. Yeah, I think he's a good player. And he's always got to be ready, and he always is. He's played well.
C.J. Gardner-Johnson left briefly, got back on the field, and they targeted Avonte Maddox, and Maddox came through.
He did. Yeah, that was a nice play he made.
Another one that I don't think counted.
There was holding on that play.
It was a non-play.
Yeah.
But he still held up.
Yeah, he did.
It makes you feel better because he's the third safety now.
He is.
Over Tristan McCollum.
Yeah.
And we've seen Reed and CJ kind of leave games before in and out. So it's weird to say you have some confidence in Avonte Maddox back there, but I think you should.
Yeah, I think he's handled this year really well. I did a story on him last week. Had a nice chat with him about just like, I mean, it started out with him getting cut, then he gets benched. I mean, it's been a lot, and I think he's handled it great. And Cooper DeJean told me that he said, I wouldn't be playing the way I am now if it wasn't for Avonte. So, this team, the role players on this team, and this is something Nick is so good at, is getting guys to understand their roles and understand that even if you're the 53rd guy on the team or on the practice squad, your role is important, and master that role. And you can be a big part of what we do.
Yeah. We always talk about complementary football, and I don't want us to only talk about it in games where it's like everything's clicking. Right. This was good complementary football in this game. Because it's not like sometimes we talk about it and it's like, yeah, they blow a team out 40-0. That's good complementary, whatever. But in a game like this, when they needed the offense to step up, they got some points. When they needed the defense to keep them in the game early, they did that. And I think that stuff matters. Like early on, like the offense gets the touchdown on the short field, and then there really wasn't much else there.
Yeah.
The punt, field goal, punt to finish the half. So what does the defense do? They pitch a shutout. And then when the defense gives up some points and it's getting a little tight, it's now a 1-score game. What does the offense do? They get that field goal, push it to 9, make it a 2-score game. I think that stuff is really important for a team.
Yeah, there's no question. And like each side of the ball, I mean, look, they still scored 22 points, and they could have scored 30, like with a play here, a play there, on a day where the passing game was non-existent and the offense was lackluster almost the whole game. But yeah, there's no question about it. I thought that third quarter touchdown drive was so huge because Jalen, I don't think he'd completed a pass like in 5 drives or something. And then he hit that 28-yarder to Devontae. I thought that
was a great play. The rollout to the left.
Yeah.
Kind of like a drag route from Devontae across the field.
And he played so tough today. His numbers weren't gaudy, but I just thought he was so good. And I think the next play was a 9-yarder to Devontae, and then the touchdown to Goddard,
which was just big boy football.
Can we talk about that play? Are we talking about the offense yet, or?
No. Let's. Right. You're right. We did skip ahead a little bit.
Yeah.
I was talking about the complementary football. Anyone else on defense who deserves a little shout out in this game? I thought Zach Bond played well. Yeah. He obviously had that interception. Don't know exactly what Jordan Love was seeing. It looked like Tucker Kraft slipped, and then he just stopped running.
Yeah, I don't know what he was thinking. He fell down and he never got up. It was funny because the play before, Bond almost had an interception. Ball hit the ground.
Yeah, that was a Jalen Carter deflection, which I talked to him about this year. He had 6 in the regular season after not having a single one as a rookie. He actually told me his time in high school as an offensive player helps him with that.
Interesting.
Because he reads the quarterback's eyes and he can kind of see when the ball's about to come out. And then he gets his paws up there, which is a big deal for a guy who's going to get double teamed as much as Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
Like realistically, he's not going to get to the quarterback on every play when you're getting doubled. So if you can make an impact like that, and it's eventually someone's going to pick it off. He had that one a couple weeks ago to Nolan Smith, who almost picked it off. And then this one's Zach Bond. Yeah. Eventually one of these is going to get picked.
He's a really smart player. I think Jalen Carter is, you can tell watching him, he's just really understands the game and understands how he can make a difference, even if he's not, involved in the play up front. But yeah, it was great to see Bond make that play. And yeah, I mean, it was a game of big plays by the defense.
Yeah. Looking at the the box score here. Reed Blankenship led the team with 11 tackles, had a forced fumble. Nolan Smith, 7 tackles, 2 sacks. Quinion had 6 tackles, and one of those tackles was really big on Josh Jacobs, had the interception and a pass breakup. Nakobe had 6 tackles and 2 TFLs before he left. Slay had the 3 tackles, the interception, a pass breakup. Jalen Carter, 2 quarterback hits, and the pass block. Like a lot of guys played well today. Milton Williams only ended up with, this is funny, Milton Williams had 1 tackle and 1 quarterback hit. I mean, talk about a box score that's misleading for a player.
He made a big impact on the game. And I think that's kind of the nature of this defense. Like, nobody's going to get player of the week or anything like that this week. I mean, Nolan Smith maybe could be in the running, but everybody contributes and they play well together and there's no weak link. And that's really what being a great defense is all about.
Vic Fangio, give the man his flowers.
Yeah. I mean, he's his first playoff game as an Eagles coach with a new defense, as the youngest defense in the league, as I've said all year, all these new pieces. He's a genius. This guy, I thought he called a great game. And the Packers really, other than the one drive, they really couldn't get anything going.
Yeah. Jordan Love finished with a passer rating of 41.5.
Yeah, that'll happen when you throw 3 picks. He's just not very good.
I think he's talented. I think people probably crowned him a little too early.
Yeah.
After seeing him in the playoffs. Game. Yeah. And look, it was a great game. And then they went toe to toe with the 49ers, and you understand why people were so excited, but
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you hold anybody to 10 points. I mean, they averaged 27. They just held them 10. That's big time.
Yeah. I'm looking at some of the numbers in this game from Next Gen Stats. Jordan Love, on passes of 10 plus air yards, 3 of 11 for 58 and 3 interceptions. So they just could not get the ball downfield in this game. Quinyon Mitchell was targeted 6 times, 2 receptions for 10 yards, average separation of 1.6 yards.
Wow.
Dude's clamps all the time.
Yeah.
And then the bogus DPI was in there, but
yeah,
I think them not having Christian Watson to start this game hurt.
Sure.
And then they lose Dobbs, and then Reed's banged up. They just didn't have receivers at the end of this thing. And I think Josh Jacobs might have gotten banged up too, because in that
31 in there at the end.
Yeah, in the crucial moments, they had 31 in there. And
yeah.
Jacobs was playing really well.
Yep. Bo Melton's is he the kid from Cedar Creek?
Yeah.
Bo Melton went to Rutgers, maybe?
Yes. It's good out of you.
He was a track guy.
That's why you know. Yeah.
I heard Zach Baum mention they ran track in high school.
And he played tennis.
I know what I'm writing this week.
Yeah. It was funny. I think someone asked him, like, oh, did you play tennis to work on your lateral movement? And he said, no, I just played it to hang out with my friends.
That's right. What he said was so similar to something Jason Kelsey told me once about how, like in high school, he played everything. He did hockey, wrestling, lacrosse, soccer, and my cousin's son was a soccer coach in youth soccer. And he said he went through how each sport helped him, like with agility and balance and strength and reflexes. And it was so. I saw Kelsey today.
I saw him too. He photobombed my live hit.
Oh, did he really?
It's funny when Jason Kelsey is on the sideline with you, because you feel this like gravity, like feel people bodies like a magnet to him.
Yeah.
And then you get nervous when he's behind your live shot, because all of a sudden there'll be 1,000 people in there.
It's crazy. And I was walking into the tunnel after I got done with my pregame stuff. And like, there was all these security guards scuttering around, and like they were moving the metal barriers to create a lane for somebody. And I'm thinking, like, man, I was like, the president coming in here, and here comes Kelsey, like walking down in sweats. Like, hey, Rube. I'm like, it's just Kelsey. We saw there was a lot of big names. Saw it was great seeing Eric Allen. Saw Fletcher was down on the field pregame. Bo Allen. Shady was there somewhere. Jason Avant was there.
Coach Jackson.
Who was that?
Coach Jackson.
Phil Jackson?
No, Coach Jackson. Deshaun.
Oh, Deshaun was there. Yeah, I got a nice photo of Deshaun and Eric Allen talking, and Eric told me he's always loved Deshaun. He's always loved his game. He said he thinks he's really underrated for being, and I agree with this, being like an all around player. I mean, he had like 11,000 receiving yards. It wasn't just deep. He's obviously a great deep threat, but it was interesting to hear a guy from that era, talking about a guy from a different era. It was cool, and he knew all about his career, and yeah, that was cool. He was also. It was interesting to talk to him comparing the 91 defense with this one, the last two number one defenses. I could talk football with EA all day. I hope he gets in the Hall of Fame. I'm off topic, and I'll stop now.
All right, let's take a break. We'll talk offense on the other side.
You deserve a car that thrills you, a car that puts goosebumps on your goosebumps. At Nissan, we've got everything from turbocharged SUVs to 100% electric vehicles that'll make your heart beat faster. Experience the thrill for yourself and shop your local Nissan store and nissanusa.com today.
We are back on the Eagle Eye Podcast. We're presented by Nissan, Reuben Frank, and Dave Zangaro. It was tough sledding for the offense today. Like, it just was. They got that early touchdown on a short field, and you're thinking, oh, man, this might be just a blowout. They might just run away with this thing. It didn't work that way. The passing offense was a little stagnant in this game. It couldn't really find a rhythm, but it's very different than the regular season after a game. This, if they play a game like this in the regular season, there are a lot of frowny faces in that locker room. Not the case in the playoffs. You just got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, and it was interesting hearing so many offensive players shout out the defense. They know that the defense carried the team today, and the defense came up huge when the offense was struggling, like you said, complementary football. And look, that's being a team. And the offense finally got going a little bit. We talked about that third quarter drive, the Goddard stiff arm drive. They got a couple field goals. Saquon got going a little bit. You knew it was coming. I thought he took a knee a little too early on that play because he could have had at least 20 more. I don't think he would have scored. Because he
ended up with 25 carries for 119 yards.
I know.
How did that happen?
I know, because it's crazy. I mean, and the running game never really got going. He had like a 16 and a 17 early, and I'm thinking he's gonna have 200. And then look, Green Bay's got they got a tough front. They're a good run defense, but they kept chipping away, and I liked it. I thought the first quarter was after the early touchdown. I thought his play calling was a little shaky, but in the second half, I thought there was some weird stuff. Yeah,
there was the getting too horizontal.
Yeah,
on third down.
I didn't mind the deep shot to AJ on third one.
I didn't either. I mean, they would have been crucified if they didn't get the touch push on fourth down.
You feel pretty confident they're going to get it.
And Nick always talks about protecting that play. You got to protect it. Now, I will say AJ looked a little too eager when he got to the line on that play. Yeah. I think he has a little tell there. He's got to calm down, but he was open.
He was open.
It would take a really nice throw, but that play was there. And if it puts even a second of doubt into the next team's head when they're lining up for that touch push look, then it's worth it. You have to protect that play.
Yeah, no doubt.
I didn't think it was a great game from Kellen.
I didn't either. I thought it got better, but I think only 3 of the last 17 plays in the first half were Saquon runs. I thought he got away from Saquon a little bit too much when the passing game clearly wasn't working. And I thought there was room for him to run, throughout the game. Jalen's just got to be better. It's funny because his final stats, like he had 2 touchdowns, no picks, 111 passer rating, which is, you'll take that. But
and look, in a game like this, though, the no picks is a big deal.
It's huge.
It's like the Eagles win this turnover battle, not close. They win it 4-0.
Yeah.
But it's still a relatively close game there. So one turnover in a bad spot can sink you. It can really kill a team.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's important to put into context when you're looking at his performance, because, if you only throw for 131 yards and you have 2 turnovers, you're not helping the team. But he was efficient. He played within himself.
Didn't play particularly well.
But good enough to win.
Yeah. And look, I think whenever we talk about a game like this in the regular season, I think it's going to have a different tone.
Sure.
And I think that's just the nature of it. And that's not to say that whatever they did today was good enough, because it might not be in the next round or the round after that or in the Super Bowl. So there are things they need to work on, but it was enough.
I do think for the most part, the passing game's got to be better if they're going to beat most of the teams that they might have to face.
For the most part, I agree with that.
Yeah, we'll see.
But with how good this defense is, look, if they're playing Detroit in the NFC Championship game, sure, because as good as this defense is,
40.
I think we know that like a really good offense is going to put up some points. They just do that. So it needs to be better then. Looking at the box score here, Saquon with 25 for 119. Jalen Hurts, 6 carries for 36 yards. I thought it was good that they involved him in the run game because
they had to.
You have to.
Yeah.
And you can't be worried about the concussion. He cleared it. He's over it. Like, you got to get to what works for you. And I thought he wasn't even like a great runner today. There were some good situations where he ran. There was one he probably got a little too lateral. You got to probably get upfield on it.
Or on the left side.
Yeah.
His best run got negated by a penalty, I think. Hold. I think that's an important point, too. Like, a couple of guys were saying on radio pregame that you have to protect them. You have to be conservative. You can't call plays like that.
It's the way your offense runs.
Yeah.
And it's part of the reason Saquon's had such a good year.
Yeah.
Obviously, he probably have a good year either way. But I think having a quarterback who has that ability does change things.
Yeah. And look, I mean, it was a really serious injury he suffered. And, he was in a protocol quite a while. And it seemed, just from talking to him on Friday, seemed like it shook him up. He talked about the symptoms and how bad they were. Didn't get any detail about what he was going through, but it was obviously significant. So, they're not gonna put him out there if he's at any risk. And that's the way the protocol is. They take a baseline of every player's brain function before the season, and it's got to be a match. You have to have the same brain function before they'll let you out there. That's part of the protocol. So, it might sound crass saying they got to run them, but yeah, you have to run the offense and you have to be aggressive and you have to do the things that you normally do.
Yeah.
And
it doesn't mean you want to be reckless.
No.
Yeah.
But you can't call plays to protect them. And, within reason. And, because then if a team senses you're doing that, they'll pounce. And it just makes you a lot easier to defend. So, yeah. He's tied Nick Foles for most 100 passer rating games in the postseason, Eagles history. Hey, you know what's cool? Speaking of offense, and let's talk about Goddard. He had 4 catches? He set the franchise record for most career postseason catches.
Oh, really?
Held by another tight end, Chad Lewis. I think Chad had 38. Dallas now is 39. He's such a good player.
Yeah, it matters having him in there.
Big time.
Yeah. I also wanted to shout out Saquon on one of the Dallas Goedert catches, had a great blitz pickup.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And now that was one thing, like the Packers, not a big blitz team. Early on, they started to send some pressure and it was working. It got the offense out of whack a little bit.
Yeah.
That wasn't a good sign. That's not what you want to see, especially when you can see the Bucs next week.
Right. That's true. That's, Mr. Bowles is going to draw them up if they play.
Mm-hmm. Other offensive stuff, that first touchdown, holy cow, there was a lot of time. It was almost 7 seconds.
It's crazy.
In the pocket. It was a scramble drill, all from in the pocket.
Yeah.
Like, what's happening here?
It was a scramble drill that he didn't scramble on. He moved around in the pocket.
I think Jalen actually said he scrambled around the pocket, which is like, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
The offensive line played great.
And good for Dotson, by the way, on that play. I mean, he did a nice job on that, getting open.
Yeah, worked his way open.
Yeah. It's funny. I thought the same thing you thought after that play. Like, they're going to start rolling here.
Mm-hmm.
They're throwing touchdowns to Jahan Dotson.
Yeah, it felt like that.
Yeah.
And then it didn't go like that.
I thought the O-line was incredible today.
Yeah, they held up. And when Jalen was clean, man, that's why I think the Packers had to resort to blitzing a little bit.
Yeah.
Next gen stats from a clean pocket, 10 of 12 for 108 yards and 2 touchdowns without pressure. So, like, it mattered in this game.
Yeah. We talk about Devontae real quick?
Sure. Tough dude.
Small dude, thin dude, narrow dude, light dude, tough dude. He's just, I mean, I think the 28-yarder, was that the longest play of the game?
Yes.
Yeah. He's just so reliable. I mean, he's just so steady, so reliable. He might never make a Pro Bowl. I don't know. He's good enough to, but on this team, in this offense, I don't know if he ever will. But he's just money. He's just so clutch.
AJ Brown, 1 catch for 10 yards on 3 targets.
And 3 chapters read.
He had trouble. They had trouble getting the ball today.
Yeah.
You'd like to figure out ways to get 11 the football. He's good. Like, just getting the ball, figure it out. That didn't happen. They had the deep ball on the tush push look. You'd like to see just a way to get him involved.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think like he could catch 10 next week for 170.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure they'll go back to the drawing board and figure that out. But yeah, he's got to be a part of the offense.
Yeah. And by now you've seen all the book stuff. Kind of fun.
Yeah.
The camera caught him reading on the sideline, and he's reading a book called Inner Excellence by Jim Murphy, who had a really good day on Sunday, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Jim Murphy's sitting at home, like his phone's blowing up.
I'm sure.
A lot of money in his pocket.
I'm sure his ranking on the New York Times bestseller list, actually Amazon goes like 10,000 deep on book sales.
Yeah.
He probably jumped up to like 17.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see that, actually. I'm sure it went crazy. Nationally televised playoff game. Your book gets seen on the sideline by one of the best players in the world is reading it.
Yeah. I know Ian Book was jealous. He was like, I thought I was the only book around here.
But a lot of people were like wondering if AJ was frustrated. No, he said he reads that book every game. He brings it out with him. And I saw the book. He showed it to me. Man, that thing is beat up.
Really?
It's beat to heck. Like, it's dog-eared. He's highlighter, underlining passages. So it's something that he reads. It said it like brings him some peace on the sideline, and it gets his mind right before each series.
It's funny because Jalen was asked, "Have you ever seen him reading before?" No.
Yeah.
He said, "I have seen him with the book before. I've never seen him read it."
Yeah.
Hey, whatever works. Obviously, something's working for AJ.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of cool though.
Yeah.
AJ told me he tries to read 2 books a month, and he actually segments. I was curious after his scrum and after everyone was pretty much done. He said he reads 2 books a month, and he tries to like segment it, like one in the first 15 days and then another one in the second 15 days.
Interesting.
Nonfiction reader like myself.
I heard him say, I never read fiction.
Yeah, nonfiction reader. He also picked up chess recently.
Oh, interesting.
Trying to learn chess. Just trying to do things that aren't screen time. And I was telling him, it's tough. Sometimes I catch myself watching TV while looking at my phone. I'm going, what am I doing? Put the phone down.
Yeah.
Go do something. Go take a walk outside.
I like doing crossword puzzles.
It's good.
Yeah.
Just something.
Yeah.
So he reads a lot.
Yeah. And something about AJ that I don't know if people understand. He's a great teammate. He just wants to win. And like, I guess because he's, look, he's done some things I know he regrets, and sometimes, I mean, he wears his heart on his sleeve.
He's an emotional guy.
He lets his emotions, but he's a great teammate. His teammates love him. He's a leader. And man, he's a great player. And I think he's really well respected in that locker room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know he was worried that this book thing would be become a story for the wrong reasons.
Right. It will be a story, but for the right reasons.
I think so. I think it's kind of neat. Yeah. And look, probably get him the football.
Wouldn't be a bad idea.
Other things on offense? Anything else that really? I thought Kenny Gainwell in a limited role had one really nice run, made up some nice yards.
He had a first down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was in the second quarter. No, I think we covered everybody. It was good to see some of the role players on this team. You mentioned Avante, a play that ended up not mattering, but he had a nice pass breakup. Isaiah, another play that ended up not counting. Oren Burks forced that fumble. Trot recovered it.
Man, Jeremiah Trotter must have been biting people in that pile.
I don't know. I was afraid they were going to overturn it because it looked like the Packers guy kind of had his hands on it.
But it was moving.
Yeah, it was still moving.
It was moving, and nasty things happened in that pile.
Yeah.
Good for the rookie to get it out.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a huge play. But yeah, some of those guys, I thought some of those backup guys and guys who don't always make an impact did.
Special teams. Let's get into it. We talked about the Oren Burks play. Obviously, a huge play. I thought in general they were pretty good on kick coverage. There was one punt return that got a little leaky.
Yeah. It wasn't Nixon. It was the other guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was Reed. Reed is a punt returner.
Yeah.
Opening kickoff, Nolan Smith is out there. They put some starters, and I asked him about that, And of course, Nolan's like, I love it. Put me on whatever you want to put me on. I'm here to play football.
Yeah.
And I actually believe him. I think he wants to go hit somebody.
Yeah.
And he ended up making a special teams tackle in this game.
Yeah, he did. We saw a couple starters out there who I don't think we normally see out there.
Yeah, they clearly went for the change. Jake Elliott, the kickoff guy, that was something they needed to do.
Yeah.
Braden Mann had a 63-yard punt.
Yeah.
That was a big deal at the time.
It was down to the 8, I believe. Too many penalties. I don't know if it's an offensive thing. Most of them were on offense, I think.
Some defensive ones that were
holds.
A little ticky-tacky. The penalties in this game, Eagles 7 for 64, Packers 8 for 85. A couple of unnecessary roughnesses, rough nigh on.
What'd you think of the one like on Saquon out of bounds?
It was a good call.
It's probably the right call, right?
It was the right call. And then the one with Saquon in the backfield was certainly the right call.
Yeah.
The one out of bounds was good. Last week, you remember, not last week, 2 weeks ago, there was some extra chippiness and they weren't getting called. I thought they were the right calls in this game. You know what I loved on the one in the backfield? First guy in 93's face, Jalen Hurts.
Yes, it was.
I like that, man.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, it was good to see.
Yeah. And
then the offensive line came in. And then the whole time Saquon was just posing first down.
Yeah.
Didn't move for like 10 seconds.
One thing we didn't mention, going back to the offense, 2 for 11 on third down is really bad.
Yes. Now 1 for 1 on fourth down, so you kind of because the 1 third down was the tush push bomb.
Right.
But yeah, that's not good enough.
Yeah, that's.
I think Nick will tell us this on Monday, and he's right. They were in third and longs. They took some sacks. They took some losses. They were like penalties. It was like 3rd and 18.
Yeah.
Then you have a coward's draw.
Couple of them. Yeah.
Yeah. It was kind of the way I thought they were a little passive, not aggressive enough in the first half, but their offense wasn't playing well either. So you kind of get it.
I also thought some of that was just faith in the defense. Like let's just
you see the game script playing out that way.
Cut our losses, run the ball on 3rd and 18, get 6 yards, then punt it.
This team can't run a screen, by the way.
They can't.
It doesn't make any sense.
I know.
They have a super athletic offensive line. They have one of the best running backs in football.
Who once caught 90 passes.
They can't run a screen. They can't run a halfback screen.
Saquon caught 91 passes 1 year. Oh, speaking of screens, I saw Brian Westbrook also today.
Yeah, I have a list of all the guys I saw.
Okay.
You want to go through it?
Saw Vinny Curry.
Mm-hmm. Vinny's excited to see us. I love Vinny.
Yeah.
I tweeted out the list because I didn't want to forget.
Vinny's mad that that Bergen Catholic stealing all his transfers from the Shore Conference. Talk a little high school football.
I like
Vinny.
that. Here's the list I jotted down, aside from the guys who are always there.
Yeah.
Jason Kelsey, Deshaun Jackson, LaShawn McCoy, Fletcher Cox, Chris Long, Bo Allen, Jason Avant, Eric Allen, Brian Westbrook, Vinny Curry, Benny Logan.
I didn't see Benny.
Mm-hmm.
So,
of course, Mike Quick out there.
Yeah. He's at most of the games.
Yeah.
Bo Allen and Eric
Hollis
were both there. Ike's at it every game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Don't want to leave him out.
Okay.
Jason Avant, I mentioned him.
Saw Jason.
Yeah.
Had a good chat with Jason. Good guy. Yeah.
It's fun when the playoffs come and
really
all these guys show up.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Really yeah. Look, I know I talk about Eric Allen. He's probably my favorite player I've ever covered. And I always like seeing him. And, we came in together. We came in the same year. In 88, I started at the end of 87, but 88 was my first full year. I think he had 6 interceptions as a rookie. Just a great player. He's got to be in the Hall of Fame. We talked about that a little bit. He's hopeful. He's a long shot, but
deserves it.
He deserves it big time. It was great seeing him.
Jason Kelsey wearing a Quinyanamo Bay hoodie.
Yeah.
Which is cool because he wasn't even teammates with
right.
Quinyan. He's just a fan now, which is fun to watch.
Yeah. He's larger than life, man. How did he get so big?
Man. Yeah, everyone. It's like he's the Beatles and Elvis rolled in the one.
I'm not sure I'd go that far, but yeah, we used to just sit in his locker and drink beer. I mean, I guess we never really did that, but we could have.
Yeah. He might have been drinking a beverage today.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts apparently owes Quinyon Mitchell an Instagram shout out.
I got the feeling there's more to what he owes him.
Yeah, I think so.
Got the feeling there's more to it.
We'll see.
Yeah. Good for Quinyon getting that pick. It was driving him crazy.
Oh, yeah. And he got it at the end of the game, but
Yeah.
he's played so well. It's like it's a bonus for the way he's played all year.
No doubt. Yeah.
Any other things we have to talk about?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Kind of covered it.
Now, for the next 15 minutes, I want to talk about Lincoln, the Eagle.
Can I talk about Nick real quick?
Yeah.
We haven't really talked about Nick, but it was interesting on Wednesday. They padded up. They had practice over at the link. It was a really cold, windy day. As we know, we were out there. I thought it was curious because they could go into their indoor bubble and not deal with the wind. It's tough on the guys' ankles and knees. It's the surface is hard, and it's obviously just 70 yards, it's not 100 yards, so you can't do everything. Not that they're running a lot of 80-yard plays, but I thought it was interesting that they padded up and they were in bad conditions, and the players loved it. Like the players I talked to, they just really liked it. And I think Nick is really good at knowing what this team needs, whether it's to go easy on a Wednesday, have a walkthrough, or have a physical, padded, outdoor, cold, blustery, windy practice at the link. And they were at the link because their fields are frozen, the grass fields at the NovaCare. I think it's something he's really good at is understanding what they need. And do I need to drive them hard now? Do I need to go easy on them? And that's really important. And they always respond to it. And I think communication is a big part of that. He talks to the players and the leadership council about, where they are, and they respond to him. And I think that's a really underrated skill that he has.
I want to go back to like halfway through the season when they started to go back to work on Mondays.
Yeah.
Because a lot of teams will do like a victory Monday. Basically, the guys get off on the Monday after a win. And it's something that's normally like celebrated. Like you see some, even in this team before, like Nick after a game will say, hey, we'll see you Tuesday. And everyone goes crazy. We get a day off. This year, it's been really cool to see, like, he'll tell them we're going back to work tomorrow. And everyone goes crazy in the locker room. They're excited. They want to go to work. I think that tells you as much about this team as anything.
Yeah.
That they're like eager to get back to work after a win. And that's going to be the case tomorrow, Monday. Yeah. If you're listening to this Monday, they're at work.
Unless they have Saturday game. I think he said he'd have to change the schedule and they'd be off Monday.
Okay.
But they might not know that. Well, anyway. I think he's just got a really good sense of how to handle the week, I guess, is what I'm saying. And those both go into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Give him credit today.
Yeah.
Lincoln the Eagle. Great flight today. Great flight.
Yeah.
The last time we saw Lincoln, it was just like a straight shot from the top of the stadium to the guy or the gal on the field level. There's a straight shot right down. It took like 5 seconds and the Eagle had already landed. Today, good flight. Went back over the person. Didn't do a whole loop around like Challenger. They'll get to that point eventually. Challenger is the greatest Eagle of all time in the flight pattern. But today, Lincoln did a little loop around the far end zone. Got pretty close to some people. I thought during pregame I was watching Lincoln warm up, and I thought there was a non-zero chance it would take out a Packer. But didn't happen. Lincoln made a nice little flight path, landed during the saxophone national anthem, which was a nice touch.
Yeah. You done?
You don't care about Lincoln?
No.
Do you like a saxophone national anthem?
It was the TV was muted. I don't mind it.
Yeah. People are starting to sing. I like that. I like when people start to sing to fill in for the instrumental anthem.
Yeah, I like that.
That was good. Big flag today. Big flag day.
Oh yeah, I like that. Did you say they put in? So the flag comes down the tunnel, like on the far side of the Eagles locker room and both locker rooms. It comes in that tunnel. I guess that would be the northeast side corner of the stadium, and like closest to the Phillies stadium. And they put hooks in the wall for like I don't know how much, like the length of the flag. Yeah. So the flag rests in those hooks. And then when the fans come there, I guess they're season ticket holders or whatever who hold the flag up, they just line up next to the hooks and they all just pick up the flag out of there. It's genius.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good system.
Good upgrade.
We got anything else here before we wrap this up?
No, I saw the Tisburys last night at World Cafe Live. Great band, great concert. I was home for the fourth quarter of the Ravens Steelers game.
Very good. I'm sure we already have a bunch of emails.
Can't wait.
In the email address, but
Tuesday.
Send it to us, eagle@nbcuni.com. We have that QR code. Scan it. Send us an email right from your phone. This is also where I tell you guys, if you enjoy the Eagle Eye podcast, please rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the like button, subscribe there as well. The season continues, Rube.
It does. Fun day, and keep the fun going.
All right. For Reuben Frank, I'm Dave Zangaro. This has been Eagle Eye, presented by Nissan. We'll talk to you